If you watch Peppa Pig, you know that the piglet's new baby sister has arrived to take the spotlight, and that could be bad news for little George Pig. Did you know Peppa's brother is about to be left behind by the entire pig family? The favorite. Everyone knows that George is, or was, Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig's favorite child. And sure, parents shouldn't have a favorite child, but that's still very true here. In the episode George's New Dinosaur, we see the parents buying him a brand new toy that must have cost a lot of money because it was a robot that walked and talked. All of that just for the little piglet to get rid of the super dinosaur in the end. On George's birthday, the parents took him to the city museum. They never did anything like that for Peppa, and they even closed down the entire building so George could enjoy it. In the end, we find out Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig also bought a giant bouncy toy for him, and of course it was shaped like a dinosaur. On Peppa's birthday, nobody did anything even close to that, and that's why we know little George really is the favorite child. But that's about to change now, because with Evie's arrival, little George will be forgotten. Not that everyone is going to pretend he doesn't exist, but all the attention he got for years will suddenly vanish. Will he be able to handle that? The answer to that question, and many others, you're about to find out. So grab your popcorn, because this is the start of another Cinewave. Woohoo! Abandonment. Now that Evie Pig has been born, George is going to face a huge problem, being the middle child. And here's an important fact, only a second child knows how hard that can be. You don't have the responsibility or freedom of the oldest child, in this case Peppa, but you also don't get the full attention that goes to the youngest child, who is now Evie. In other words, poor George is going to have a rough time at home. It's pretty likely that from now on, George will notice his parents no longer have as much time for him. The little pig probably won't get as many presents on his birthday, and every time George tries to compete with his new little sister, he'll lose. In the episode where Peppa is dancing in front of the TV, little George changes the channel without asking, interrupting his sister, and Daddy Pig doesn't even scold him. That sort of thing won't happen anymore. George isn't the youngest child now, and he'll realize that his parents will start expecting from him the kind of responsibility they used to expect from Peppa. Things like letting Evie have the last piece of cake or looking after her at the amusement park are going to be big brother duties. George will think that's unfair and might even feel like the family is abandoning him. But does that mean George is going to resent his little sister? It's possible Evie Pig won't have a good relationship with her brother at the start of the next season. Let's hope the two of them end up being good friends. Enemies. Are Evie and George going to be enemies? That's a question that really scares fans of the show, because it's very possible the second child will feel forgotten after his new sister was born. But how could that happen? Let's start with Peppa. Our main character is a girl who would love to have a sister. She even says so the day she meets baby Alexander in season 3. Plus, since the two are girls, they might get closer because they'll like the same kinds of things. The toys, the clothes, and even the same TV shows. So it's very possible Peppa will pick Evie as her favorite sibling, and it makes perfect sense for the girls to bond. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig are going to focus more on Evie now because babies need constant attention all day long. The new little piglet is still very small, and because of that, George probably won't get much time with his parents. When it comes to the grandparents, there's another important bit of info. They were the ones who gave George Mr. Dinosaur, which also means they'll give Evie an important toy too. But since the pig family is more famous and wealthier now, it's very likely they'll get Evie a super special toy, especially since the new little piglet was even announced on TV. That's proof that Evie's life will be way more comfortable. George will get jealous of his sister and will probably treat the new baby badly because of that. And yes, those will be tough days for the whole family. Could George turn into a villain next season? Who do you like more, George or Evie? Comment with #pig so we can get to know ya. Peppa versus George. Peppa is going to have a really important role in this new phase of Evie's life, and that also means the main character will probably fight with George. But how will that happen? Do you remember the episode where Grandpa Pig builds a new treehouse for the boys after Peppa kicks them out of her Tea Party Club? That shows that our main character likes to separate the boys team from the girls group, and that's fine. But at home, the little piglet is going to do the same thing to George. Peppa already does this whenever Susie comes over to visit, but this time it will happen every day with Evie, playing the games the girls like and leaving George totally forgotten. It's pretty normal for girls to be closer to each other, but the problem is that maybe Peppa will end up being an unfair sister to George. Let's hope that doesn't happen. The oldest. Still talking about Peppa, we need to understand why our main character pushes George away. Let's make it clear that getting revenge isn't cool at all, but even so, we know that for a long time Peppa felt ignored by her parents. Let's remember that in the episode where they fought over the TV, it was Peppa's turn to watch her favorite show, but George grabbed the remote without asking permission. In the episode with Grandpa Pig at the playground, we see George breaking the line rules along with Richard Rabbit, and all the older kids had to wait even though that wasn't fair. When George starts feeling ignored, Peppa will tell him that for many years she was pushed aside by everyone, and now he knows how she felt. Not that this is good, but the truth is George needs to understand that his pain was once his older sister's pain too. This moment, which should happen next season, is super important because it will be from then on that George will mature and turn into a smarter little pig. Mommy. Everybody knows babies spend a lot of time with their mothers, which is totally normal because newborns feed with the one who brought them into the world. George doesn't understand that reality yet, and because of it, the little pig is going to feel sad with his mom for not paying attention to him. Mummy Pig is going to have a ton of work in the next few days, and she even said that herself on the TV show when she announced that she was pregnant. Mummy Pig said that now there are fewer grown-ups in the house, and since Daddy Pig works at the office, it's very possible Mummy Pig will have to look after all 3 kids for a while. Let's remember that Peppa is still a very young piglet and also needs care. George, who is even younger, will definitely feel like all of his mom's time now goes to Evie. When he wants to play and Mummy is feeding the new piglet, there's a good chance he'll feel sad. Will George end up getting mad at his new sister? And by the way, are you going to subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notification bell? Let's find out. Daddy. An important bit of info that showed up on the internet these past few days is that maybe the fight between George and Evie will happen because of dinosaurs. Peppa has her favorite toy, which is Teddy the Bear. George has Mr. Dinosaur, a gift from Grandpa Pig, and Evie will surely pick a toy she's going to love too. If she picks a dinosaur, of course it won't be a toy just like Mr. Dinosaur, but our info says that Daddy Pig is going to buy her a flying dino. Everybody knows the Pig family is getting richer every day thanks to the success of the show. Evie being born at the same hospital as the Princes of England is proof of that. Of course, Daddy Pig is going to buy her an amazing gift. And if Evie gets a flying dinosaur, George will feel jealous and very sad. Of course, when your sister has a cooler toy than yours, it's normal to feel like that's unfair. But it's important to point out that George himself had the chance to get a better toy in the episode The New Dinosaur, and even then the little pig didn't want it. So now will little George give up on Mr. Dinosaur because he wants a better toy? Baby Alexander. Another thing that might happen in the next episodes is that George will have a really important talk with his cousin Chloe. We already showed how Peppa is also going to leave her little brother aside, and because of that, George needs advice from someone who understands what he's feeling. That character will be Cousin Chloe. Chloe is a piglet who is older than Peppa, meaning she's more mature than the main character, and when George realizes that baby Alexander also gets more attention from their parents, Cousin Chloe will probably talk to George about it. In the episode where Peppa meets baby Alexander, Chloe says her brother is a sweetheart, which means she adores the new little piglet, and this conversation between George and his cousin will definitely change the show forever. Chloe should show George that he doesn't need to get angry or jealous of Evie because there's no competition between them. Little Evie is just a baby, and that's why she's going to get more attention for a while until she grows up. Will the little pig understand and accept that Evie isn't more special than him? In truth, she's just younger. Growth. One thing's for sure, George is going to grow up in the next seasons, and this neglect from his parents will help a lot with that. Just like Peppa had to manage on her own as the oldest sister, George will get more responsibilities. Probably the creators of the show will use that as a reason to make little George talk more, so you can get ready to see our piglet chatting a lot and acting more grown up. George will probably turn into a character more like Edmund Elephant. Not in intelligence, because Emily's brother is a genius, but the little pig will definitely know how to talk more in the next episodes. Fans need to get ready to meet the new George Pig, who in the end will be a great friend to little Evie, just like you are to our channel. So now it's time for you to see that you can stick with us. We picked out 2 more videos for everyone to enjoy. See you in the next one, and bye for now.